Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Horror Movie Rewind, or welcome for the first time. If you haven't done so before, really appreciate you hitting that like and or the subscribe button. Let's just do them both. With that being said, you can read, so you know where we're going with this. Going to be talking about the Scream 7 trailer. Got a lot to say. Going to tell you exactly what I told you in the title. I don't play no clickbait, boy. I'm going to tell you why I think they kind of already showed their hand on at least one of the killers. We'll get to that later, clearly, because I need you to stick around. And yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and kick it off. So we'll start at the beginning of the trailer. We're at the Mocker house, Stu's house. I don't think that's Stu's house. I feel like it's a movie set. Again, we have more stab films in this universe than there are Scream films in reality. You see the Mocker house again at the end of the trailer. It bookends it, and it's on fire. You have a Ghostface walking out. I have no definitive proof that isn't the actual house. Just something doesn't feel good about it. I did find something interesting in the middle of the trailer. The town, which I'll tell you where it is later. I don't know if it's a big secret. It shouldn't be. The town that I'm assuming Sydney moved to has banners hanging from their street lights, and one clip from the trailer kind of focuses on it. There's an awning behind it with a red light, and it illuminates the sign in a way that, well, let's just take a look at it. Yeah, so it looks like it's on fire. Now, I don't really have a lot to say about the Mocker house. I'm sure there's things that are there that I didn't see, I missed. So while we're on houses, let's talk about the house that you see Sid walking up to. It pans out from yellow police tape not too long after the beginning of the trailer. I'm pretty certain that that's Casey Becker's house. If you don't know, I don't know why you're watching this video. Casey Becker was the second person killed on screen in Scream. So we'll take a look at that scene right here. So yeah, I mean, it's dark. There's a oddly large crowd of people outside. But I looked on Google Maps and I found these two photos. That's the actual house in the original Scream that the scenes were filmed with Casey Becker. I'm not going to sit here and speak architecture with you, but if you look, they're more than just similar. It's the same damn house. So actually, the more I look at this, the more I'm convincing myself that this may be a dream sequence. Just especially considering this line of people that are standing there. They're all dressed in black for some reason, and they're all facing towards Sidney Neff Campbell. And I don't really understand why there would be an incident at that house. So yeah, I'm leaning dream sequence on this one, but it's definitely Casey Becker's house. Yeah, so before we get to the titular segment of this video, that's a fun word, let's just drop a couple of honorable mentions out. Yeah, there's a lot of voices heard throughout this trailer. Obviously, at the end, you hear, and I'm excited that he's coming back, but it's almost just beating a dead horse now and anticlimactic. But you hear Matthew Lillard's voice saying, "This is going to be fun." And if you have any knowledge of this franchise, that's just kind of a callback to a line from the original Scream when they're talking about killing Maureen Prescott, where he says, "It was fun." Yeah. I also heard someone say, reminds me of Where We Grew Up, using the voice modulator. And I don't have any idea who that could be. You also hear someone say, "All your friends died for just being around you." It's dubbed over. It's not a character that's on screen at that point in time. And I don't know. It sounds like David Arquette, but it could also be Skeet Ulrich. You also have a couple of references to other films, for damn sure, in my opinion. A couple of them, People Under the Stairs, the scene where Sydney and her daughter are, squeezing through the partitioned walls. Yeah, and that's a Wes Craven film. Scream's really known for being meta, guys. The animatronic at the beginning in the Mocker house. And then the Ghostface sitting up like the Undertaker and it having like almost sounded like it had a breathing device, but it was really mechanical. I think it's just like they're being smartasses in reference to Lillard's presence in Five Nights at Freddy's, especially the animatronic in the very beginning. Yeah, from there we'll talk about who I think they exposed, and I say that with an asterisk by. All right, so this final part, we'll start with the location. In the trailer, it's pretty ambiguous, but at times you can tell that there is a location that you must assume is the secret, hideout, witness protection-esque small town that Sydney and apparently her daughter only have moved to. We don't know what has become of her husband. I do think that Joel McHale is supposed to be playing him in the film. We don't see him in the trailer to my knowledge. But, again, I think that these trailers are going to be kind of subplottish, and I also don't think we should take them serious at all. Again, very meta franchise, and with Kevin Williamson, him in it. I'm kind of having fun with this very video because I don't take any of this to heart. But with that being said, in the video, you see a couple of signifiers that aren't too hard to Google. One being the marquee on the theater. And so that's where I started. I went from there, and they're obviously like open about the filming locations. And so this would be Dallas, Georgia. It's, community about 20 or 30 miles outside of Atlanta. And just a simple Google search. If you Google Dallas, Georgia, you'll find the marquee on the theater. It says Dallas. You'll find the clock tower. And no surprise, they've listed that as filming location. Now, clearly that's where they're filming at. But I think it goes further than that. I think that is going to be the location. Again, not taking this trailer very seriously at all. But I think that's going to be the location that she relocated to for a very simple reason, and that being that if it wasn't, then they did a really lazy job, like covering that up and editing the town that they were filming in. And I'm saying, it doesn't take much. Simple CGI or a banner or anything to hide the Dallas from the marquee. Yeah, sure, the clock tower looks just like the one in Spartanburg, South Carolina, where I'll go to work later today. But at the same time, if you look at those same banners, the one I mentioned earlier that looks like it has a house on fire, you'll see at the bottom, it says Pine Grove. Pine Grove, and if you Google Pine Grove Communities, it's a major, major developer in most of Georgia, but specifically in the metropolitan and suburban Atlanta area. If that is not the fictional setting, then they did a really piss poor job, putting a mask over the town, so to speak. No pun intended. They're not going to be that sloppy. I think they're actually in Dallas, Georgia. All right. Now, to further that, yeah, I really hope I'm wrong. And I'm not dying on this hill. And again, this is Scream. But they make a very compelling case to have suspicion in Tatum, her daughter. I don't think I need to go into detail about where her name comes from. It's her best friend. Rose McGowan's character gets her head crushed in the garage door in the original Scream. Also worth noting, she was in a relationship with Stu Macher. Now, you have a shot of her room, and this is where I'm basing most of this. And again, I'm being half-hearted but dead serious with the evidence, if that makes any sense. I know it sounds a little contradictory, but let's take a look at this to begin with. Let's just take the whole landscape in. All right, so yeah, she's busting a chill on her bed, on her phone. I'm going to point out a couple of things. Now, the first one I'll say isn't very important. It's just a typical Easter egg. But there are at least 2 Nick Cave posters on her wall. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds are responsible for one of the most iconic songs in this franchise, which is Red Right Hand. You all know it. And there's 1, if not 2, on the wall for damn sure. And, that doesn't have anything to do with vilifying her. But funny I should use that word, because if you look over her left, like by the window, we'll get to that in a moment, there's a poster that says villain. I tried looking it up. I'm going to look like an idiot by saying that it's a fictional poster. It could very well be like some manga or just some shit I'm not into. But I did try to Google it, and I even used the phrase that was at the bottom. I couldn't find it, but I'm probably an idiot. Someone somewhere watching this is probably laughing at me. But if you want to dive a little bit deeper, all right, so if we're assuming she's on the East Coast, and this is a big stretch, I know, but we're having fun with this, right? That's what we're doing. This is a trailer. This isn't the film yet. And her socks are the same socks iconically worn by the Wicked Witch of the East in Wizard of Oz. So, yeah, assuming she's living in the Georgia area or greater Atlanta area, that would be kind of tongue in cheek. She's the Wicked Witch of the East, So you got that. Now diving a little bit deeper, and this is where you got to kind of bear with me. We'll start off with the mask. If you look to the far left of the most panoramic shot of her bedroom, you'll see this. You see this pile of what appears maybe to be laundry, but one thing stuck out to me, and it was this odd shaped, almost kind of arch in it. Now, that's very familiar to me because I got one right here. Almost identical to the orbital, definitive evidence, but enough, you know what I mean? Enough for me to be mentioning it right here and to have fun and something to think about. And again, I hope the fuck I'm wrong. One more thing, and maybe I'm trying to see ghosts and I'm forcing a narrative, but I couldn't help but notice also to the left of her room, and this is when I was looking at the posters, there is a small white box. Let's look at this. Again, nothing is concrete, but it kind of looks like she's got a voice changer sitting over on this table. In this photo, I could get to the point to where it did look like it had the same script as the voice changer I showed you before. Clearly, it's the same size. You've got a centerpiece or a center indentation where it would be the speaker or where you would speak into it. And obviously, the more you try to edit the photo as far as draw it in, with my limited capabilities, by the way, I'm doing all this on my phone and a pretty decent laptop, but I don't have any kind of software to do that. I'm sure someone out there can do it. But yeah, I can get to a point to where I can buy my own hype thinking that that's a voice changer. So when you put everything together and you have, and it sounds silly saying it like this, you got the Wicked Witch of the East socks. You got the villain poster on the back of the wall. Oh, yeah, I left one out. So there's this scene where she casually looks over her shoulder and the window's open. Now, yeah, sure, that's a callback to Nev Campbell's scene, Sydney's scene. The difference is she doesn't seem to be startled at all. Now, we didn't see anybody emerge, but yeah, you got the socks, the Wicked Witch of the East socks. You have the villain poster. We're not really going to count the Nick Cave posters, but we got what very much does look like a GHOSTFACE mask, at least that orbital area and in the eye. Again, we're all fools if we take this trailer, to heart. And then you have what could very well be the voice changer. I don't know what you expected. This is the first trailer. We're still, 4 months out? But go back and watch the trailer. You can look at the scenes I showed you and see if you could pick out some things. And if you give a damn, comment and tell me about them. But I don't think I was just throwing you garbage out there. I think I believe in what I saw. Do I believe it's going to happen? Probably not. But anyhow, guys, I appreciate you for checking it out. Again, it's Horror Movie Rewind. I'm Dustin, and we'll see you soon.